And we are still on our firm and industries classes. The other time I explained what firm is, what an industry is, and I touched a little about public and private corporations or organizations. But today we are taking in depthly about, we are going to take in depthly public organization, private organization, and we're going to differentiate the two. So that is the theory objective. Define public corporation, define private corporation, distinguish between public and private corporation or organization. So let's take the first objective, public. When you hear the word public, what comes to your mind? It means the general public, everybody in the nation, the totality of those that belongs to the nation is the public. So when we come now and join business to the public, it means business that is done because of the general public, because of the general individuals that belongs to the nation, because of everybody that makes up the nation. So when we look at public organization, it is a business that is solely aimed at everybody, the general public, the masses, everybody that belongs to the states, everybody that belongs to the nation. So it's a kind of business that cater for the welfare of everybody. The services they render is for the benefits of everybody. So when we talk about public corporation or public companies, they are the type of business organization which are owned, controlled and managed by the government. These businesses are owned by either local, state or federal government. They are associated with such names as authority, corporation, boards, commission, etc. We have the Nigerian Ports Authority, we have the Nigerian Railway Corporation, and the rest of other examples. So, when you hear the word public companies, they are companies owned by the government, and the government can be either the local government, the state government, the federal government. And these services they render, these businesses they carry out, it's for the benefit of the general public, to provide things that the general public will benefit from. For example, water board, the general public would benefit from it. Power holding companies, if it is owned by the government, everybody benefits from it. Nigerian Ports Authority, it is owned by the government and everybody enjoys it. Nigerian Railway Corporation, it's enjoyed by everybody. So, when we talk about public organization, public companies, public businesses, public enterprises, remember, it is an enterprise that is owned by the government, controlled by the government, managed by the government, and provide essential services to the general public, to the masses, to those that belongs to the nation. All of us are beneficiaries of such services. And the main of these services is not to make profit. It is to serve the needs of the general public. That is why public enterprises are formed. So bear that in mind. It is owned by the government, it is controlled by the government, it is not profit driven, it is to serve the general public, and it is to help to provide social amenities, necessities that the country needs. That's the major aim of opening public companies. So we've seen what public companies is. Now we want to say private company. Why do we have private companies? And thereafter, we'll distinguish between the public and the private companies. We have seen what public companies is, that it is company owned by government. Now, what about the private? Remember, anything that is private, it's done in a secret way. But in this class, it is not a business done in secret, but it is a business that is owned by individuals, private individuals that are not the governments. So when you hear about private companies, know that they are businesses formed by individuals that are not the government, neither the local, state, or federal government, no, but individuals from the public that came, established these businesses for a particular reason. And that major reason why businesses are formed by these individuals is to make profit. The major aim why individuals go into business is to make profit. So private companies are businesses owned, formed, controlled, managed, directed by individuals, by private individuals. It can be one person, it can be 2 to 40, 50 persons. It can be a number of persons, more than 1,000 persons. When we get to our class on types of businesses, we're going to talk about different types of these businesses. We'll talk about the sole proprietor, the partnership, the limited liability companies, the cooperative society. We'll talk about all of these. So examples of private companies are sole proprietor, which is one-man business, partnership, which brings a number of persons together, limited liability companies, which offer shares to the general public and a number of persons are part of it, cooperative society that protect the interests of a particular group and is formed because of a particular reason. All of these make up the private companies. And the major aim of them coming into business is to make profits. Make profit from their businesses, maximize profit from their businesses, stay in businesses, and then meet their goals and objectives. So we have seen that private companies are personally owned businesses. Businesses owned by individuals. Businesses owned by those who are not government, people. It is owned by individuals. Let's take it at that. It is not owned by the government. The government does not control it. These individuals who establish it are those who control it, are those who manage it, and are those who take the risk and burden of the business. So that is for private companies. Private companies, they are owned and managed by private individuals. We have the sole proprietorship, the partnership, the cooperative society, and others. The major objectives and aim of these businesses is to maximize profits. That's what I've just explained to you. So we have seen what public company is, and we've seen what private company is. Now let's see the difference between the public and the private company, which is our last objective for this class. Which is number 3, distinguish between public and private companies. This is public, this is private. What are the differences? If you can explain the meaning of what public companies means and what private company means. If you remember that the public company is owned and controlled by state, local, and federal governments and established by them, that private is owned by individuals, you can explain better. And if you know that public companies are not profit-driven, the private companies are profit-driven, you will know that there's a difference. So let's take 7 of the differences that we have picked out of the explanation of what public and private companies means. 1, it is owned by government, the public. Then the second one, the private is owned by individuals. That's one difference. 2, capital is provided by the government for public, but for private, capital provided is by the individual who wants to establish the business or who have established the business. The third one, public companies provide social services to the general masses or to the general public. Why the private is profit driven. The major aim is to make profit out there in the markets. Then the fourth one, they are controlled by board of directors that are appointed by the government. But in private, individuals who have come to form these businesses are those who manage and control the business. The fifth one, it requires huge capital for public companies, like for example, power holding authorities, to be able to provide lights, electricity for Nigeria as a nation requires very huge capital. To be able to provide water, effective water for everybody in the society requires huge capital. So these activities require very huge capital. But for the private, it requires a minimal capital to establish such businesses. Then the sixth one, taxpayers and the general public bear the loss if anything happens to the business. But for private, the individual who set up the business bear the loss of the business. And then the sixth one, decision making involves consultation with different bodies, those appointed by the government. Different stakeholders have to be consulted before decisions are taken. But for private companies, decision making is very quick because those who establish the business are involved in the business, the management of the business, so they can take decision at any time. So we have seen the differences. It's established by the government, it's established by the individual. Capital is provided by the government, capital is provided by the individual. Provide social services, profit is the major aim. They are controlled by board of directors and board of trustees. They are controlled by the individual owners who have established it. Require huge capital, require minimal capital. Taxpayers bear the loss. Individuals who own the business bear the loss. Decision making, it requires consultation. Decision making is quick because those who own the business are directly involved. These are the distinguishing features of the public and private companies. In our next class, we are going to take the future of public companies and the futures of private companies. So please follow along. If you've not watched the part 1 of this class where we talk about firm and industries, please go and watch it. And please come along in our next class where we'll talk about the futures of these two types of companies. Thank you for dropping by. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe. Make this community big. Share the video. Invite others to come join us. If you've not bought our courses on Class Online School, you can head over there and buy some of our classes. They are just for a token. You will find them there. If there are courses you don't find here, they are found there. Thank you for being part of our class. Thank you for being our community. Give us a thumbs up if you like what we're doing. Comment below the comment box if you have any question. Thank you for being part of us. Until I come your way next time. Thank you.